You're listening to SBS News in Easy English. I'm Alan Lee. There have been 35 new COVID-19 cases in New South Wales. 24 of those were in isolation while they were infectious. New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian says they are focusing on the 7 who weren't in isolation. She also criticised members of the public who broke restrictions over the weekend.
I foreshadowed a few days ago that the numbers were likely to bounce around, and that's what we've seen overnight. Pleasingly, 24 of those 35 were in isolation for that entire period. So health is obviously more concerned with the 7 cases that were in the community. I want to thank the vast majority of our citizens who've done absolutely the right thing. But unfortunately, having a party when you're not supposed to have a party is not doing the right thing. Some of the cases today are a result of issues or result of incidents where people have done the wrong thing.
Ms Berejiklian says they will decide in the next few days whether the lockdown is extended beyond Friday. Residents affected by the COVID-19 lockdown in New South Wales are now eligible for help from the federal government. People in Greater Sydney, the Blue Mountains, the Central Coast and Wollongong can apply for the COVID-19 disaster payment, a one-off cash payment of $500. It's available to those who have lost 20 hours of work or more, and those who have lost less are entitled to $325. Queensland has recorded 4 new local COVID-19 cases and 3 additional cases in hotel quarantine. Chief Health Officer Dr. Jeanette Young says the cases are all linked and are the Alpha and not the more contagious Delta variant.
So there are 4 new cases today, all closely linked, and we can work through all those, and we'll be putting out any additional venues following discussion with those people. So that means this cluster of the Alpha variant is all coming together and we're finding out where all the issues are.
Australians from Victoria, South Australia, Tasmania and the ACT are once again able to fly to New Zealand without going through quarantine. Everyone who gets on a plane must present a negative COVID test, which is no older than 72 hours. Demolition workers are preparing to bring down the remainder of a partially collapsed apartment building in South Florida. The state's governor has warned it was in danger of collapsing, and an approaching storm may have made that more likely. Crews have carefully bored holes to insert explosive charges into the portion of the building that is still standing. They hope that demolishing the building will open up new areas for rescue teams to search for any survivors. No one has been rescued alive since the first hours after the collapse on June the 24th. So far, rescuers have recovered the remains of 24 people, with 121 still missing. In sport, the Australian Olympic Committee has selected 472 athletes for the Tokyo Games. The team is made up of 254 women and 218 men, and includes 16 Indigenous athletes, the most ever selected by Australia. Australia will compete in 33 sports this year. And in cycling, Australia's Ben O'Connor has taken the biggest win of his professional career, winning stage 9 of the Tour de France.
Just to be here in the first place is already the first dream, and to achieve this today is, it's mind-blowing.
And that's the latest news in Easy English from SBS News. I'm Alan Lee.